African citizenship. I get asked about it a lot. Do you have any options in Africa? Do you have an African passport? Are you looking at African citizenships? Although I'm not really focused on Africa, I've been to some African countries, for example, Tanzania. I don't want to say I hated it, but I hated it. I've also been to other countries like Mauritius and Seychelles, which are absolutely stunning, amazing. I talk about Mauritius all the time because I loved Mauritius so much. Seychelles for vacation, Mauritius for living. But to actually get citizenship in Mauritius, you have to really commit to the country. There is no citizenship by investment program. You can get permanent residency by investment and then go and live in Mauritius for a couple of years and actually get this citizenship. I think it's a great place to have permanent residency, 10-year visa by starting a company, by investing. Great place for a plan B. But if you want an African citizenship by investment, there's not really any program that allows you to get it directly or citizenship by exception or by merit, anything like that. There are some African citizenship by investment programs, for example, Egypt. It's technically an Arabic country, a Muslim country, but it is part of continental Africa and it is part of the African continent. So obviously, this program, I have to say it. You can buy property in Egypt and then get an Egyptian passport. I don't really recommend it for most people. I've been to Egypt. I didn't really like it that much. I think it's too chaotic. I think overall, not a great citizenship for a Westerner that wants to have an ultimate plan B. And also I talk about actually going and living in the country where you're getting citizenship. You're not just getting a passport to get a passport. In some cases, yes, but in most cases, you're getting a citizenship in a place where you could actually live in the future. And Egypt is not a place that I want to go and live in. It's not a passport that allows you to travel to pretty much anywhere. It's a passport with a really bad reputation, a country with a bad reputation overall. I don't really recommend it. And most people that are getting Egyptian citizenship are getting it because they already have something in Egypt. They have a business in Egypt. They have investments in Egypt already. And they just want to solidify that connection that they have to Egypt. So they're getting the Egyptian passport. So in this case, I wouldn't recommend it to most people. I don't even talk about it that much because I don't think it's really a great option. Now, for other more traditional African countries, let's say, if you want to get an actual African passport, there are 3 options. 2 of them are official citizenship by investment programs, and the third one is a citizenship by merit program that might be launching very soon, or a citizenship by investment program launching very soon. And there's also other citizenship by exception programs, or by exception is a tricky word, but in Africa, there are a lot of options. I would just be very careful. There have been scandals all over Africa of people selling citizenship, people selling passports, and those passports get revoked, or those passports don't even have access to some countries that they should have visa-free access. They don't get access because of security concerns. So overall, I would be very careful with Africa. There are currently 2 countries, Sierra Leone and Sao Tome and Principe. Sao Tome and Principe is a brand new program a couple of weeks ago. You can get it by going through the UAE office for citizenship by investment. These are not countries that you're going to use for visa-free travel. You only have visa-free travel in Africa mostly, and some countries in Asia. For example, with Sao Tome, you have here Malaysia, you have Philippines, you have Indonesia, you have a little bit of Asia and a little bit of Africa and, the random Latin American countries like Ecuador, for example. But you're not really going to use this for visa-free travel. What some people are saying that you can use these passports because they are part of the CPLP, which is the Community of Portuguese Language Countries, or the countries that speak Portuguese, is to get a Brazilian passport. If you become a Sao Tome and Principe citizen, you can then go to Brazil, get permanent residency by investment, and you can get citizenship within 1 year because of the CPLP agreement. The problem is law versus practice versus interpretation of the law. If you're an American and you want to get a Brazilian passport because you want a Mercosur document, and you get a Sao Tome and Principe citizenship to then go to Brazil, live 1 year in Brazil, and get citizenship through the CPLP, Brazil might actually deny that because they know that you bought that citizenship. They might ask you, how did you get Sao Tome and Principe? And if you say, I got it by investment, they might actually just reject your application and not give you Brazilian citizenship through the CPLP agreement. The same thing with Portugal. You might go to Portugal and get it in less years than a regular American because you're an American, but you're getting it with your Sao Tome and Principe passport. And they might just deny it because they might say, you're not originally from Sao Tome and Principe, you bought this, therefore we're not going to honor that agreement with Sao Tome and Principe for the specific individual. There's a law, and there's how people interpret the law. In some cases, in some countries, you can open a business and then get citizenship in 2 to 3 years after opening that business. But the interpretation says that you need to pay an extra 300 grand, you need to buy real estate, you need to make a donation in order to get that citizenship, and you get it in those 2 to 3 years. But the law says that only if you open a business and only if you run that business, but the interpretation is no, you need a significantly higher contribution in order to get citizenship. This I see the case. I haven't seen anybody actually trying this and going to Brazil and getting it on a São Tomé and Príncipe because it's a brand new program. But let's see. I think this is going to be the interpretation. Brazilian authorities are not going to let you get a beautiful Brazilian passport that quickly, especially now with the crazy regime that is going on in Brazil and all the craziness that's going on there. I don't think they're going to allow you to get a Brazilian passport that easily. Now, the one that I do like, that I would get, for example, Sierra Leone is another one. I would not get Sierra Leone, although I think it's a decent program if you want some access to Western Africa, for example. If you really want to focus your sights on Africa, you want to have visa-free access because a lot of these countries are very hard to access and they have very strong visa requirements. I don't know why. A lot of these countries, some Westerners would actually visit them and they had easier visa-free access, but they don't. And the Sierra Leone passport opens up some of these countries. I wouldn't get it myself. I see how it makes sense for some people if you want to focus on Africa, if you want to go to Kenya, if you want to focus on Western Africa or ECOWAS region, and you might get this as your 4th or 5th or 6th passport if you're a passport collector, for example. The one that I like, I would get the citizenship, is Cape Verde. Cape Verde, although it doesn't have that great visa-free travel, as you can see, it has all the Western Africa region, it has South Africa, it has actually better access than a São Tomé and Príncipe. São Tomé and Príncipe and Cape Verde, I would take Cape Verde. You actually have Russia as well. You have some other countries like, you have, well, basically in Asia, it's almost the same. But you have a little bit more access with the Cape Verde passport than you do with the São Tomé. The beauty about Cape Verde is that it's a country where you can actually go and live in and go and spend time in. And it's outside of continental Africa, just like São Tomé, but it's much more livable, much more developed. It is malaria-free. You don't have malaria in Cape Verde. It has a lot of European tourism. It has a lot of flights to Europe. And it's a country that if some world war happens, I can take a flight from the European Union over to Cape Verde and I can spend some time there as a Cape Verde citizen without actually having to worry about getting malaria or getting some crazy disease because it's developing very well and it's getting a lot of investments from the European Union and from European tourists and Western tourists in general. As I say, get a citizenship in a country that is actually real, in a country where you actually can spend some time in a country that you can use apart from just having the passport. And that is why I see Cape Verde, who will hopefully at some point launch some citizenship by investment, citizenship by exception, permanent residency to citizenship program. They will launch something. I see this as being a much better option than a São Tomé and Príncipe. And also Cape Verde is anyway part of the CPLP, of the Portuguese agreement. So if they do honor these citizenships that actually you get them by investment, then you can anyway get a Brazilian passport. You can anyway get a Portuguese passport much faster. If you don't speak Portuguese, then it gets tricky because they might even, for example, Brazil, to get Brazilian citizenship, they might ask you to have a B1 or B2 Portuguese. And if you're American and you don't speak any Portuguese and you just buy one of these passports, they're going to reject it anyway. I would not get it for that reason. I would get it to have something in Africa as a good plan B, a country that I would live in, a country with okay visa-free travel. Cape Verde might actually have a chance of getting Schengen visa-free travel versus São Tomé, versus Sierra Leone, or versus Egypt, or any of these countries that will probably not have visa-free travel to the Schengen area, especially because they have citizenship by investment programs. Now, apart from citizenship options, there are some residency and permanent residency options in Africa. Obviously, Mauritius being the obvious first choice, I would say. Developed, great healthcare, people speak English, no problem at all. Living in Mauritius for me, if I have to go and live in an island, I would probably choose Mauritius or something like a Curaçao, or Mauritius would be really my best choice in Africa if I have to go live in Africa. There are other countries like Namibia, for example, a lot of Chinese investors investing into Namibia. You can get permanent residency and it's also relatively livable. It is kind of dangerous in some areas. And the citizenship and the passport is quite solid. If you want to focus on Southern Africa, you also have Brazil, funny enough. You have some countries in the Caribbean, you have Hong Kong, you also have Singapore, you have Philippines. So visa-free travel-wise, I wouldn't look at Africa. I would more look at strategic investment, strategic citizenship I want to have in the continent. If I want to have something in Western Africa, I might choose something like a Sierra Leone or Cape Verde would be my choice. I want to have something as a plan B, Cape Verde would be my choice. I want to have something in Southern Africa, then Namibia could be a good choice, although they're not going to give you citizenship. They're going to give you permanent residency. A lot of Chinese people are investing there, and the country is developing, although slowly, but it is developing well into the future. And Africa might be a solid, obviously fertility rates are extremely high in Africa. A lot of Africans are being born, and things might change in the future. They might become extremely well-developed countries. Let's see what the future holds for Africa. But if you are focused on it, I would focus very strategically. I wouldn't look at the news and see, oh, Sao Tome launched a citizenship program. Let me get it so I can then get Brazilian. Hold up, cowboy. They might not actually honor that. So be a little bit more strategic in getting one of these passports. And lastly, let's discuss South Africa. A lot of people here on YouTube talk about, oh, getting residency in South Africa, getting citizenship. It's a great citizenship to have. Has good access to Africa, good access to Latin America, great plan B. The problem is you also have to consider the direction of the government and the development of the country. South Africa is heading down a really dark path. Development is going down. Safety is going down. For a Westerner going to South Africa, it might actually be very dangerous. Danger is obviously a big thing. You're not going to a country where you can get kidnapped and something horrible can happen to you. And also the government is really strict with taxes. So the tax authority in South Africa, because I have a lot of South African clients that want to leave and they want to go somewhere else and they go to Dubai to escape the taxes and the enforcement of those taxes in South Africa. So I'm also not going to go to a country because I'm interested in investing in Africa that's going to investigate me for tax purposes, that's going to restrict me, that potentially I'm going to have something horrible happen to me in my life. Overall, you're not going to a terrible country just because you're investing somewhere in Africa. So South Africa, avoiding it for now, not a country I would recommend personally. If you want to see all the options for citizenship and what countries my clients are choosing for residency and citizenship, what my multimillionaire clients are choosing, check out this video right here on the best countries that my wealthiest clients are choosing and that I recommend for more freedom, more privacy, more asset protection. Check it out right here.